Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Rachel, Associate Director at Adventure Treks. I joined the Adventure Treks team in 2018 and have been a trip leader and regional director in the summer. Being on trip with our students is one of the most rewarding jobs. You get to see a community built from the ground up, students transforming and learning they're capable of so much more than they imagined, get to be goofy, have fun, and make incredible memories. So I am so excited to be here tonight. And we'll also hear from one of our New York families, Bonnie, Michael, and Marin Garvey. On the webinar tonight, we also have one of our owners and operators, Amanda, who many of you know and have spoken with. She'll be helping run our slideshow tonight. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please put them in the questions box and Amanda will be happy to answer them. So what we are going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about who we are, why we're unique, and our student goals. So since 1993, Adventure Treks has been a leader in offering technology-free outdoor adventure camps for teenagers, with a focus on building close-knit communities, personal growth, and taking a break from academic and athletic pressures just to have fun in the outdoors. We all know that the teenage years are an incredibly formative time in an adolescent's life. So we use outdoor adventure as a medium for learning important life skills. Life skills like collaboration, critical thinking, and communication, and creating space for teens to continue growing into their true, authentic selves. Teenagers unplug from technology, and we really get to see them become a part of something bigger than just themselves and have an incredible amount of fun along the way. At Adventure Treks, students get to camp, hike, backpack, whitewater raft. We go rock climbing, kayaking, canoeing, mountain biking, we summit mountains, and so much more. And we do this all alongside really great friends and caring role models. And these age-appropriate outdoor challenges are what really allow students to step outside of their comfort zone and truly grow in ways that they can't at school or in athletics. So we can sum up our student goals into 4 major themes. The first is to be a part of an inclusive community that feels like a second home and that prioritizes a culture of kindness and respect. And our students' friendships last long beyond their trips. I hear of countless reunions from my students during the school year or around holidays, whether that's virtual or in person. And being in an intentional community outdoors really just bond people together like no other environment. We also want our students to experience a significant personal growth through age-appropriate outdoor challenge, community living, and leadership responsibilities. I'll talk about this a little bit more in a bit, but we firmly believe that the outdoors are the perfect place for students to develop and improve their leadership, social, and non-cognitive skills. The ones that Google, Apple, and so many other leading companies recognize as the skills needed to thrive in today's world. We also take students to beautiful wilderness places that they may otherwise never get the chance to visit. And these places are often less crowded as well. We're extremely fortunate to have exclusive access to summiting mountains like Mount St. Helens or Mount Adams, or backpacking among wildflowers in British Columbia's most beautiful provincial parks. We want to take students out of ordinary life and place them in situations where they experience the power of awe, which research shows leads to more happiness and greater fulfillment in life and higher levels of critical thinking, generosity, and cooperation. We also want students to make such good friends and have so much fun that when they arrive home, they won't stop talking about the trip and they want to do it all over again the following summer. I've had students actually reflect on how surprised they were to quickly find common ground with people from different backgrounds and different cultures, and just how closely they bonded in such a short amount of time. And because everyone chooses to push the envelope and chooses to spend their summer with adventure treks, and because they have to work together as a team, we're moving through different challenges, working through different things, and their relationships become even more meaningful and substantive. So before I dive a little bit more deeply into our philosophies and student goals, I think it's important to hear about this directly from the Garvey family. So I'm going to turn it over to them. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear us?
Hi, good.
Yes, so we have had the privilege of having two children who have experienced adventure treks. And we can't say enough great things about it. Our daughter Lauren now is 20, almost 23. She graduated from college last year, and it really, really defined her in so many wonderful ways. She did 3 of the adventure treks trips. She did British Columbia, she did the Pacific Northwest, and then she also did California Challenge. So she's still very good friends with a lot of the people that she met through adventure treks, as you to kind of mimic what you were saying. It really does create bonds that, I think you're correct. I think when you have an outdoor experience that isn't, there are no distractions with technology and all of that kind of thing that come with the everyday life of the modern day people, it allows you to kind of go deeper quicker. And so she really, she just thrived there. And it really, in many ways, prepared her for college, I think, better than some of,
Not just college, life.
well, life, yes, but I'm just saying, like, she was ready to kind of step up and do things that needed to be done, or, anticipate things that might need to be done, or challenges that come up. So that was just a no-brainer when our youngest child, Marin, all 3 of our kids went through a different Camp Pinnacle in North Carolina, and they loved it. And then you kind of age out of that, and there really isn't much, or we kind of weren't sure, like, okay, now what do we do? They've had this great camp experience. Now where can we send them? And this was just such a wonderful fit for us and for them. Marin last year did the British Columbia trip, or did she do? No, she did Pacific Northwest. Yeah. And then this year she's doing the 3-week California Challenge one. So she's super excited. And again, she met some kids in this that she's still, and I guess in some ways social media is not all bad, but because she's really, it does kind of make the world a little bit smaller, and she is very much in touch with all of the kids that she was on the trip with. They speak on the regular, and there are, I think, 2 of them that are going to go on this trip with her, and they're planning it already.
She wanted to know if there's like a 4 or 5 week version.
Yeah,
like,
she was doing like the whole summer.
So.
But and again, like, I think one of the things that impressed us the most was, it's certainly not always easy. Like Marin, especially last year, there was some real challenges that they had to overcome, some bad weather, some, okay, change of plans. We got to, pivot and do something different, or we've got to, adjust and make it work. And it just was hard, yes, but she came back so much more worldly in ways that I didn't even know she was lacking until she came back. So do you guys, sorry, I'm talking too much, but
no, sorry. I don't know. I feel like I'm talking just to you, Rachel. Are there families on here, or like?
Yes, there are.
Okay. Hi, families. How are you? So a little bit of background. Listen, these are my children. There's nobody getting my kids. I'm a New Yorker, and I'm a former cop, so I trust nobody. So, but we came to learn about adventure treks. So Bonnie mentioned a Camp Pinnacle program, and they're kind of quasi related. But as you age out, the camp kind of ends, and many of these kids went on to different programs, and we had a very dear group of family that we were friends with. 5 kids, right? Like 3 Schwartzes? Okay, I thought they had a bigger family, but anyway, their 3 kids were just great kids, and we learned that they'd went through adventure treks, and we, checked it out, and Lauren went the first time, and she's bummed right now that she wasn't able to go to the Alaska trip because she got too old, and it was either that or like miss all of her high school friends' graduations. It was a big discussion, and ultimately she decided to go with her friends' parties, which I understood. But from a parenting perspective, listen, I just want my kids off the phones as long as possible, whatever their age, and the things that they learn, life skills. I mean, from first aid to clean water to working as a group to making a fire to like just relying on each other as a group. It's I can't say enough good things about it. I wouldn't. I'm not getting any commission here. I really truly believe it's one of the best things we've done for our kids.
For sure.
They just come back more I don't know, more alive, more connected to what's really important, and God knows.
And they don't miss it. And because I thought for sure, especially with our younger one, like they've had phones and technology for a really long time at this point. And I thought for sure that, Maren would give us pushback like, it's not fair that I'm on my phone, or I want to be able to TikTok every moment of camp or whatever. And there was zero pushback, zero, like, as a matter of fact, when she got her phone back, she almost was kind of like, I don't really want it.
It didn't take long.
Yeah.
She hopped back on.
But it was much more.
Listen, the ability to disconnect from the matrix and just connect with
nature and each other.
There's not. I want to do it. I was like, what's the adult version? So yeah, I was happy to hop on this call. There's listen, it's your children. You're worried. These counselors they have are just. I wanted Lauren to become a counselor. These kids are living their best lives. They're not looking to fit in with everybody. They're doing one of the young women she was really, really impressed with. They've actually become friends now. She just stopped being a counselor to go to law school.
Right.
And she's going to law school, I think, in an environmental kind of capacity. Like it's an all around good thing.
Yeah. It does. It creates role models. The fact that they talk about, like at their nightly campfires, they talk about what went well today, what didn't go well today, what are you impressed, say something that you appreciate about somebody else. It just gives them all a chance to take a moment and really reflect on yourself and each other, and
Maren came home
nowadays.
like experimenting cooking. Before she left, she'd make mac and cheese and the kitchen would be a bomb. And now she came back, she was using spices and different things. She goes, Dad, you wouldn't believe it. At camp, we combined some cilantro, and we threw it in there, and we threw some Gatorade or something. And I was like, that sounds disgusting. It was awesome. It was so good. Like, they wanted me to make it. So, I don't. If anybody has any questions,
we're happy to talk about it. But
I don't know, Rich. Am I allowed to? I'll give you my cell. You can call me and ask me questions on the phone. But listen, it's scary sending your kids away. I went away to soccer camp for a week, and that was like a big deal. But this is something I think
it's invaluable.
It's invaluable. It really is.
Just
Well, and it's amazing too, because I know in a lot of what we talk about, like in these home shows too, we talk a lot about life skills and kind of what you see long term. But it is really amazing to hear, like when you said, like when Maren got back, you could see a change, and so there is still that immediate change that you get to see, and from starting to cook and like show you all these different recipes.
Laundry. She did her own laundry when she came back. Wow.
There's an effeminate ruggedness to her. Like she was glowing, but she was tired and she wanted a hot shower. But she just listen. We all want our kids to flourish and be resilient and be tenacious and be kind, and everything about this program. I'd keep sending them. I mean, I will.
Yeah.
Maren's going away now for
the
3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, she would go longer if you let her.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, and I'd like if you could speak a little bit more to, you said like, oh, these are our children, so this is a big deal. Could you? So I know we've got some families on here that some have signed up, some are thinking about signing up. Could you just talk a little bit more about, specifically, was there anything that you were nervous about? And
Yeah, you're sending your
like, how was
children
that
to the woods with strangers.
It was definitely for our first child that, we were much more confident after Lauren had already gone through 3 programs, and so it was much easier, the decision to send Marin. But with Lauren,
She was our firstborn.
she was our firstborn, and we were worried, like, what if she physically can't keep up? They're hiking up these mountains. What if she can't do it? What if she, so yes, we were definitely worried, like, what if she gets really homesick? Now, we were lucky because our kids had done a sleepaway camp, so we knew that they could kind of handle that. But for sure, we were worried about the physicality. We were worried about
Their safety.
their safety. Like, what if something bad happens at the camp or something happens to one of the counselors? Then what happened? Like, they're driving places, they drive places, and then they hike out or do something.
If something really went bad, they have sat phones. They have, like, it's
Yeah,
not like
so
they're literally cut off.
Right.
The idea is to, go and connect with nature and do these challenges. And I mean, Marin climbed a rock wall, and I encourage my kids to take risks, reasonable risks, and then I looked at this thing she climbed. I'm like, I was like, there's no way I would have let her do it about it. But she made it to the top, and she wrote about it in a journal. And matter of fact, she just
they write a letter to themselves.
Ironically, arrived home like
yesterday.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
They write a letter to themselves, and at the end of it, Marin had something like, you remember, Queen Girl, what are you going to do about it to make it better? What was the second one? It was this too shall pass.
Right.
And
like I said, she had some challenges, and weather challenges that could have been really, really scary, but they just met the challenge, and it was just an amazing adventure. And I was like, would you do it again? She was like, 100%. Like, but yes, it can be very scary, especially when it's your firstborn and you're like, oh gosh, I don't know. Like, what if she doesn't make any friends? What if she, and
they do.
They
bump.
just do. And it's, I think, super important to do it outside of the confines of parents. I think sometimes, as much as we love them, I think sometimes we can hold them back a little bit because they see our fear. Like Mike just said, this wall that was this rock mountain, really, that Marin went up. Looking at the pictures of it, I was like, oh God, like, I don't know that she would have done it had we been there, because she would have seen our faces be like, oh, I don't know if you can do this. So that is gone when they are able to experience this outside of the confines of the parental unit or the family unit.
I'll give for example, my daughter, our youngest, is trying desperately to make the varsity soccer team next year. And the varsity soccer team at the school that she's going to, it's great news for them, but they won the state championship, this little tiny school. And now there's kids flocking in from Connecticut, Southern Jersey, like pre-Olympic kids. I'm like, she's never going to play. Like, I don't want her to make varsity. I'm saying that she's not here, but I want her to make JV so she still plays, but she's set on making varsity. And it's a pretty intense program, and she's training, and she's going to the gym, and she's doing all the things she needs to do. And then one of the instructors and coaches said, hey, 3 weeks missing
training,
pre-trial, pre-double sessions, whatever. And Marin she absolutely not. She goes, don't care. I'm going to adventure tracks. There's no way.
Like, are you sure you want to do that?
You might not even get a chance to try out. She's like, doesn't matter. She still said, I'm not playing JV. I'm like, but so my point is that she herself knows
how important,
not just how much fun, because she wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun, but how good of an experience it is. Maybe she just wants to get away from us. I don't know.
Well, that's amazing. And that's definitely really helpful to hear. And I'll go a little bit more into like talking about like our staff. And so if y'all wouldn't mind, feel free if you want to hop off the webcam, but I'd love to bring you back on in a little bit. We might have some questions from Amanda, kind of from some of the other families that are on.
We'll have a glass of wine.
Yeah. Perfect. So I'll bring you back on in just a few more minutes.
And Rachel, I wasn't kidding. Like my number is 845-304-9098.
We're happy to talk to anyone. We really are.
Sometimes I'm not part of the marketing team. I'm just a parent that thinks this thing's the greatest thing ever. But if you really want questions you want to ask, I'm sorry, Rachel, I'm going to tell them what I think. But, it's nerve-wracking to send your kids anywhere, especially if it's your firstborn and they've never been out. It was scary as heck for us with Lauren, but I will tell everybody to send their kids to these programs.
Yeah,
Really will.
really, really great.
So.
All right, we'll hop off. We'll let you keep continue, and we're here if anybody has questions.
Perfect. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. Perfect. So like I said, we'll bring the Garveys back on in a little bit. If anyone does have questions for them, feel free, write some questions in that question box, and we'll bring them back in a few minutes. So I'd like to now talk a little bit about what makes Adventure Treks different, what sets us apart. And one of the biggest differences between Adventure Treks and similar programs is our student to instructor ratio and staff experience. So we maintain a 4-to-1 ratio where other companies might have a 6, maybe 7-to-1 ratio. And this has several important advantages. One, we've got a better focus on risk management. So for example, if any situation arises on a trip, we have more staff to make good decisions to keep our students safe and healthy. There are returning instructors on every staff team, and that staff team is led by a senior trip leader who's been with Adventure Treks for several seasons, so never led by a new instructor. And then there's also a wider breadth of knowledge, experience, personalities, and skills among our staff. And when we put together our staff teams, we kind of balance their skills, their experience for not only the most professional team possible, but we also keep their personalities in mind as well. That way students have multiple perspectives and role models with different teaching styles. And I know that the Garveys mentioned that, Marin made a really great connection with her trip leader, and that is so common, and I think speaks volumes to the way that our staff really set us apart. And so that smaller ratio, it truly means that students will get the personal attention, the guidance, the teaching and the role modeling that they deserve. And more instructors means we can more easily meet students where they're at. So if they need more support in learning a new skill, or on the other hand, if they already have experience in an area and want to advance their knowledge, we not only have the experience, but then also the numbers to make that happen. And our staff, they are professional educators. They have experience working in the outdoors with youth before coming to work with us. Many other companies tend to recruit almost entirely from universities, but we believe that young college students are, typically better suited to gain experience at a more traditional summer camp. And our instructor retention is so high because our instructors, they're passionate about working with teenagers in the outdoors. They aren't just looking for a summer job. This isn't a one and done job for them. They truly care about our students' development. And in terms of the training, so both our new and returning staff go through at least 2 weeks of orientation and training every year. Our trip leaders, our senior staff, actually receive 3 weeks. And in addition to diving into the Adventure Treks policies and protocols, they spend time scouting, planning, learning about their specific trips, and really getting to know their students. We also have the ability to accommodate larger groups, so up to 24 students and 6 staff, and our students and staff love this model for a couple of reasons. So it allows them to befriend even more people from varied backgrounds all over the US and all over the world, actually. And we spend time both in the big group and in the smaller groups throughout the trip, depending on the activity. And so smaller groups are really beneficial in activities like backpacking, where students get more personal time with each other and the instructors. And this is definitely where I see a lot of the bonding happening and where students can more easily find their voice and their place in the community. Then they'll get to cycle through different small activities, so like the cooking, tent groups throughout the trip. And our goal is that students get the chance to be in a small group with every other student and instructor at least once. Another benefit too with these larger groups is that the social dynamics are easier to manage. With that larger group that flows between the bigger and smaller group, instructors can fluidly manage social groups to keep everyone's experience as positive and fun as possible. I know we were talking about friends that you get to make on the trips, and so at Adventure Treks, you make genuine, lifelong friends in a non-judgmental environment. We want students to laugh a ton, to be themselves, be silly, be goofy, and truly feel appreciated for who they are. We create such a strong culture of kindness and sense of belonging to a community in which everyone feels valued and included. The friendships our students make last beyond their trips and, like I said before, often result in reunions throughout the year. And we strive to be a place where students can truly be who they want. They can break free of whatever personality they've taken on at home or in school, and they get to rewrite their story in a supportive and judgment-free community of people who truly celebrate them for who they are. And I've gotten to see this on our trips, and it's so amazing to look back from day one. Everyone's a little bit nervous, kind of unsure, don't know each other, and you get to see the students blossom and flourish and gain confidence in themselves. And at Adventure Treks, they have incomparable outdoor adventure. We have a variety of outdoor activities students can try, progress in, and fall in love with. Our trips offer age-appropriate outdoor challenges that allow students to continually push the boundaries of their comfort zone and experience immense growth. And as they grow more competent, they grow more confident. It's a wonderful mindset that they can bring home and apply to new adventures and challenges they encounter, like Michael and Bonnie have seen with Marin and Lauren. Plus, at Adventure Treks, no experience is necessary. Students don't have to worry if they've never rock climbed or have never backpacked before or have never hiked up a mountain. That's okay. Chances are other students haven't either. We'll teach our students everything they need to know to succeed. And if they do have that experience, that's great. We'll help take their skills to the next level. So in addition to an insanely fun summer, we strive for our students to experience meaningful growth in different ways than they do at school or home or organized sports. We actually developed our philosophy to align with the Partnership for 21st Century Skills framework. And now this framework was actually developed by teachers and education experts and business leaders, and it defines what skills young people need to succeed later in life. These are the non-cognitive skills that kids typically don't learn in school or in sports. Because of today's modern comforts and fueled even more by the pandemic, more and more young people are not seeking experiences outside of their comfort zone. They're in front of screens even more, staying at home, kind of hunkering down with what feels immediately comfortable. And it's interesting because studies are showing that these long-term consequences are profound. By challenging ourselves, we learn more about ourselves and our abilities, which helps us grow into our potential, rather than having our potential go unrecognized. It also helps us with emotional regulation. When we're challenged over and over again and finally succeed, it changes our baseline for emotional regulation and actually expands our limits. We become more accustomed to delayed gratification and the dopamine release from accomplishing something intrinsic versus the short-term, that less than gratifying dopamine release that we might get from like doom scrolling. And alongside the cognitive skills ingrained by formal education, non-cognitive or interpersonal skills like collaboration, critical thinking, communication, creativity are what will create the next generation of confident, capable leaders. And our graduates say that their experiences were a defining and profound learning experience that significantly improved their confidence, independence, communication, and teamwork skills, otherwise known as those non-cognitive skills. And so with Adventure Treks, they'll have endless opportunities to practice their collaboration, that critical thinking, all while boosting their optimism and resilience. And we all know that teens, they face higher levels of pressure, more higher levels of pressure than ever before. And Adventure Treks offers the panacea, spending time in nature with a supportive and fun community of peers. And research shows that kids who spend time in the outdoors have better social awareness, that higher confidence, that creativity, and actually reduce stress, better quality sleep versus those around them who spend most of their time indoors. So with us at Adventure Treks, they can decompress from the many stressors that our teens face in their daily lives and disconnect from that social media, from their phones, and really enjoy their surroundings. So I'd love to bring back the Garvey family. Hello. Oh, perfect. They've got the wine.
There we go.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I know we talked a little bit about, some of the changes that you were able to see kind of both with Lauren and Marin, and I'm curious, definitely if there's anything else that you'd like to talk about. I'm also curious if you have any advice for like any new or prospective parents thinking about coming to Adventure Treks.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm 56 years old, 3 kids. I'm constantly trying to teach my children that everything kind of great and wonderful in life, even though there's risk of failure, is on the other side of being a little bit scared, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got, Lauren wasn't like, we were excited about Adventure Treks because we knew the family and all their kids. We thought the kids were great. And one of them even actually went back and got married at one of the sites they hiked and stuff. And we loved the parents, and we were pushing her because I'm a big believer in disconnecting. I mean, I work, I'm on a computer. They were all on computers all day, and the days of getting outside are less and less. When I was younger, I was out for 8 hours. If I was inside the house, my father said, get outside the house and be back by dinner. And those days are kind of over. I think my advice would be, if you as a parent are nervous, I would say, push through that fear and kind of just trust the fact that you've got a great son or daughter and that they're going to be fine. And if your kids, and I don't know, Michelle, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, you want people to go, but if your kid's absolutely dead set against it, work with them and explain to them that this is something you want for them to experience and try. And if it doesn't work out, you'll take the blame, but you want them to take the shot at it. It's 2 weeks, it's a week, it's 3 weeks, whatever it is. That's what I would say. Like it's a little bit scary.
I think that's an important aspect, Mike, that
my wife just agreed with me. This is great.
I think it's important to not allow your own parental fear, because it's scary. I get it, but it's really important to kind of let your child have an experience outside of that typical, summer experience of staying in and being on your computer or whatever. So if you can kind of get past your own fears, it's really important to give them this kind of experience.
And you're leading from the front. You're leading as a parent. Like I was honest with my daughter. I was
like,
scared to death to send her.
But
I said, I was scared to send you, but the family that told the Switchers told us, I go, do you remember how much you talked about it, how much they loved it? And they I don't know. It's scary. It's your kids. I mean, especially if you've never done it before.
With your kids. You love your kids. So it is, and I can speak as a mom. As a mom, we're so connected to our children, and it is really scary to kind of have that 2-week or 3-week period where I hope it's good, because we aren't hearing from them every day. And that's an important thing too, to let them kind of experience it and internalize it and figure it out for themselves.
Listen, bad news travels incredibly fast. Right. No news is great news.
I mean, I'll be very honest. Marin had an experience last year. She ended up in the hospital last year. No, she didn't sprain her ankle. She had a cyst or whatever, but they could not have handled it better. Like, they were on the phone with us. Here's what's happening. Here's where we're going. We'll call you when we get to the hospital. Okay, great. Like, I was not, yes, as a mom, I was like, oh my goodness, like, could it be bad? Could it be something terrible? But they were just on top of the trip leaders one went with her, and then the other trip leaders stayed with, obviously, the group. And they were just, she was on it. She was on it, calling me, you know, letting me know what was going on each step of the way. And even with that, Maren was like, oh, I'm definitely going back next year. Like she was like,
Didn't Lauren Spinner call one of them?
no, that was, no. So, you know, I think it's just important to try to push through the fear and to allow your children to express their fear and talk about it openly. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that might be a challenge to do that, but know that you are, you know, you're braver than you think, you're smarter than you think, and you know, to quote Winnie the Pooh, you can do it. You've got this.
Look, the
you've got it.
chances of
Yeah.
them hating it and being mad at you when you get back are
few.
de minimis
Yeah, for
compared
sure.
to compared to the chances of them going,
This was
I'm
great.
really glad you
Yeah.
told me to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe I did it. I'm so happy I went. Like, you know, it's.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think that is important to keep in mind. And I like what you said about it is you having the conversation. You've got your fears, also being honest with that, and that it's also normal for your child to be nervous about it, and it's just working with them. And like you said, yeah, I think by the end, it is very rare. They're going to come back and be like, yes, this was amazing. Thank you.
I mean, look, I don't know your
sorry for
stats,
doubting you.
but I'm sure there's people that had bad experiences. I just can't imagine it being more than a tiny percent. I just there's no
There's just so many things to love about it that anything that was
look.
I think our daughters
they
are
do
coming
canoeing, they do rock climbing,
Yeah.
they do like they do all this amazing outdoor stuff. It's kind of hard not to.
Hey girls, okay.
Oh, awesome! This is gonna be great. They're gonna be so excited.
Oh, this is perfect.
Put you on a camera.
Yeah, our daughters.
Oh, they're both here.
Yeah, both of our daughters just came. Maren just was at an event she had to do tonight for a leadership program she's in, and our other daughter picked her up so we could do this. So
Here, let's change
both
seats.
of them are here.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kind of give a little quick.
This is my daughter Maren. She's going. When are you going?
June.
In June,
18th,
3 weeks.
12th.
And this is Lauren. She'd like to go back if you'd raise the age limit. She missed the Alaska trip after doing her 3 trips. So.
Hi, Maren. Hi, Lauren. I'm Rachel. Thank you so much for being here. This is perfect timing.
Is that you?
That's all Maren.
That's all Maren?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Lauren. So go ahead. This is.
Yeah, the pictures.
Want to tell what you loved about Adventure Tracks?
Sure. I loved the experience. It's not something, living in New York, it's not something you get to do on the regular because it's not, you don't have places where you can just go backpacking and hiking. And I loved how it was like an escape from the real world, and love my family, but it was great to get away from them. And,
What? You want to leave?
yeah. And away from like my friends even, like it was just good to have like a detox in a way.
And I can attest to how Adventure Treks has affected my life going forward. I'm now a college graduate. I wrote about Adventure Treks in my college in my college essay. I have my Adventure Treks sticker on my water bottle still.
So cool.
I have used the lessons that I learned at Adventure Treks throughout my entire life.
Oh, that's so
I've
cool.
referred back to it many a time. It's always like almost my party trick that I tell all my friends. I'm like, by the way, I used to live in the woods for a month during the summer. And none of them believe me. And I'm like, no, I did. And I've got pictures all over my wall of my trips. And truly, they are some of the best memories. I still keep in touch with kids that I went to Adventure Treks with. Just the experience of meeting, like Maren said, people outside of your little bubble that you live in. You know, in your middle school and high school years, it's huge. And that effect of, I met kids from Arizona and California.
I visited that girl from Dominican Republic.
A friend of mine was from the Dominican Republic, and I then visited her on vacation. I knew kids from France, from Canada, like all over the world. And so just getting the experience to meet different people of all different creeds and backgrounds really is just such a great experience. And in the community that they build inside Adventure Treks, it's just amazing. Like the counselors are fantastic. The games that we play, I still like laugh at and think of. And it's also challenging. And some of the most challenging things I ever did was hiking some of those trails in those mountains. And it built real resiliency that kind of, if you can do that, you can do anything. That's what I wrote my college letter about, is the resiliency that I had to learn myself when I was at Adventure Treks, of just getting over that doubt and that fear and that feeling that I couldn't do it, and then ultimately doing it. And it was just, it changed my life.
Is there anything that you were like scared about before you
Oh,
went
yeah.
that you didn't tell us, or you did tell us? Or like,
oh,
'cause there's
before
parents
I
on
went?
here. There's
Yeah,
parents
there's
on
other
here who
parents
like
in here,
it's
yeah.
their firstborn and they've never gone
Yeah, it'd
camping.
be
or anything.
scary.
Definitely the whole thing without not having my phone. Like, I know that sounds like every kid is gonna be like, oh, like my phone, what am I gonna do without it for 3 weeks? So actually, I'll share my story. I actually had to go to the hospital on my
Yeah, I
trip,
was just saying that.
and
You still want to go back?
yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything that happened on the trip, or it was a like personal
A cyst,
issue.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a ovarian cyst that whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, but so my counselors took me, whatever, they looked at it, we waited a while, and then it got to the point where we wanted to go see a professional. And I still didn't have my phone, but my counselor was great about getting in touch with my parents,
And just
and
that, yeah.
and even the time, it was pretty late, and I think one of you were sleeping, and they ended up calling my sister, who answered the phone.
I was like fourth down on the emergency
Yeah.
contact list. Lucky that I was awake. I was watching a movie up like late at night. It
Right.
was like 2 in the
You
morning.
gotta answer the phone.
Yeah, I was like, please. So she got my dad awake, and it was really
They were
great. It couldn't
fantastic.
have gone better. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really fantastic.
And yeah,
And she was fine, and she went back out and finished the trip.
Yeah,
No
we
problem.
we did. And my counselor was great. He got me snacks, because when I was, 2 counselors went with me, and one of them left and got me some watermelon sour patch. And I remember that, and I was like, oh,
Rachel,
that's the best.
are there any kids listening on this, or is this just parents deciding to send their kids?
I think there might be some students on here as well.
Kids, like your young kids, 15, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
16, high school kids that are like, should I do this or not do this? Or like, I don't want to go to the woods.
Do it at least for your first year. Just do it, and if you absolutely hate it, never do it again. But you get such bragging rights, like I don't know, like, but for me, especially where I live, the way that I can say that I did that, and for 3 weeks, and also it goes by so quick.
Yeah.
You do 3 weeks sounds so long. It goes by like literally so quick, and it shocks you. I was bawling at the end of it. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, no, this was not 3 weeks. Like, I want to stay longer. We're not allowed to, but
You meet kids that are complete strangers to you when you get there, and that is nerve-wracking if you're going by yourself. That's so nerve-wracking, and you're like, am I going to get along with these kids? But there's something about being in the woods that equalizes the playing field in every aspect. Everyone stinks, everyone's gross, you're all dirty, like, and that, I think that was like,
said everybody go.
no, because that was one of the things that I think, thinking about it, you're like, oh my God, that's really gross. But then it's actually not that gross because you don't really realize, and everyone is. So it's like, it's no one.
it's
And
normalized
you know
in
what
general society.
It allows the kids to just be their true, genuine
Right.
selves. They're not going to school trying to put on a certain outfit or say they listen to certain music or download a new app or saw a new show. You just be who you are.
Who you are.
And
Yeah.
that energy kind of feeds off everybody being their own unique selves, and they kind of form like a group. Like, you're still tight with those that girl.
Oh my gosh, I've been friends with those girls for 5 years, and we have reunited every year, and it's the best feeling ever is
Yeah.
seeing them. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
because having someone from Florida and someone from Atlanta, Georgia, it's like you can trust them with anything. They're not going to go back to your friends at school and
Mhm.
talk bad about you. They don't know any of your friends. It's like your own personal, like,
It's a fresh
real
start.
friend that, like, it's just you two and your loyalty.
What do you say
Okay,
about
so-
me?
What about, do y'all have any advice for like new AT students?
Sure. So my thing was definitely at the end of your hike, you will hike a lot. In some days, it's evened out, but we had a situation where there was a weather issue, and we had to stay put exactly where we were. Actually, no, we had to hike back down the mountain to a safe place and stay there for, I want to say maybe an hour and a half, maybe. And it was like a lot to hike, make it so close, and have to go all the way back down. And mentally, you have to just tell yourself, it was the most beautiful view that I've ever seen. Getting there is so worth it. And this, I don't know if this is advice, but bring a camera. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna want to bring a
Like a
camera.
GoPro or something?
Yeah.
or-
GoPro, anything.
Anything.
I had a really bad camera, but it was great.
She got a new one for Christmas.
I
so-
did, so now my photos will be even better. But the photos that I took on this camera,
And it was
that,
because of Adventure Treks that you wanted a new camera.
yes, yeah, I was like,
So-
this, it did them no justice, the views, but it was still beautiful.
Yeah. And I would say also journal. I'm not a journaler, but I did try to keep up a journal of sorts when I was at Adventure Treks, and I still have it. It's up on my bookshelf. You know, I look back at it fondly, even if some of it's just like bullet points and like the names of the kids that I was with and like what, you know, where each of them was from, because you do it just to jog your memory and help you remember it. Because looking back, I don't know, my last AT trip was 5-6 years ago now. I don't even know, but you know, it still is one of the most important things that I've ever done, and a big part of my personality. So definitely journal, keep those memories, but you know, make sure that you're living in the moment. And I think that's kind of why journaling is nice too, because you can and then reflect on those and take some time at night with your headlamp and do that. Break in your hiking boots if you do choose to come. Wear them for like the month leading up to your trip. Just go on little walks with your friends, walk your dog, wear your hiking boots with thick socks. You don't want to have blisters when you're there.
That's true.
And just accept the dirt and the grime and get into it. And
Don't
be a little
Embrace it.
crazy in the woods. Like it's, you know, the time to be crazy in the woods, and it really is a magical, freeing experience, and you'll love it so much. It's the greatest thing ever.
This is when we all got back to our campsite after the story I was just telling about the weather situation. When we got back, I think we hiked another 8 miles after that, and it was pouring rain. We were sopping wet, our shoes, even our backpacks. It was really bad weather. There was a storm that hit us, and our backpacks, even though covered in trash bags, everything was soaked in it. Our tents, our clothes, our warm. It was like the worst circumstance. It was our first day of our hike too, our first ever hike for all of our first timers.
Still love it.
And so this is the photo
Of after.
of once we got it. Yeah, once we got back. Oh, this does.
No.
It was beautiful. Yeah.
It was really, really, really worth it. And like we all sat there for like 15 minutes just taking it in and being like, that really was worth it. And like, it's so.
And 5 years later, they dried off. No,
It is dry and the memories last. And
No, yeah, it's, and we look back at that and we laughed so hard because we were like we didn't know what we were doing, and then we were like, oh, but we listened to our counselors because our counselors were like, I promise you, this is not what a real experience is like, and they were so right. It was so fun, and you get so many skills from it too. I now can set up a tent. I can cook out in the woods without like it's there's a lot of cool like tricks kind of that you learn.
Would you be willing to talk to like kids one-on-one if
Sure.
they're like
Totally.
either from a
Kids,
22-year-old
anybody,
perspective or a sophomore in high school, you know, perspective? You can talk to them without your parents. I clearly we want your kids to go on this,
And yeah.
but you know,
We wouldn't be here if we didn't. So it was so worth it. And do it.
but if you're kids or you want to talk to Lauren or Maren, feel free.
Yeah, we'd be happy to give you guys our numbers or our Instagrams if you want to reach out if anyone has any concerns,
Questions?
questions, anything. We'd love to chat with you guys, and if anyone, you know, anything at all.
Another thing I just thought of that I was nervous about before going was the counselors. And I was like, what if these counselors are like mean people and I don't get along with them and I'm stuck with them for 3 weeks? I can tell you from my experience, my counselors were like honestly like my best friends. Like I looked up to them. Like, yes, I had kids my age as my best friends, but those counselors were like the perfect role model. Yeah. And they had the perfect balance of being our friends and also keeping us safe, obviously, and taking care of us. And they're just people that you will never forget. I won't ever forget them. They're awesome.
Yeah, same with my counselors. I still follow a lot of them on Instagram. 2 of my counselors from back in the day, who I don't believe no longer work for Venture Treks, got married. Joe Sissy and Allison O'Brien got married. I was actually ran into them when I was out west a couple of years ago and said hi to them. So you really, even though they are older than you and you know, in charge of you, they really are fantastic people, and they connect with you, and they're silly and fun and want you guys to have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
And just their job is to keep you safe. And as long as you just listen to their rules, that, you know, you're good, and you do become really good friends with them. So they're awesome.
Where did you camp out on the beach?
Olympic Peninsula. Really gorgeous.
Really.
That's such a good trip.
They all are, really.
She came home, she's
I
like,
know they all are. They really are.
"Ain't no big deal. Mount Helen blew off and it's half the size."
No.
Well, I cannot thank y'all enough, and perfect timing, Lauren and Maren. Like, thank y'all so much. You are helping out so many potential families and folks thinking about adventure treks. And it's amazing to hear your stories and your experiences and how much it's shaped your life. And Maren, we're really excited to see you this summer. And I know we might have some families that have questions, some potential students. So certainly if, they want to talk one-on-one, we'd love to.
Our emails and our phone numbers.
Feel free to reach out. I will.
Yeah. Do you want us to, is there like a chat? We could put our Instagram handles or our phone number, or how do you want to do that?
Chat here?
Yeah, feel free. If you want to, you can throw it in the chat and then that will show up to everybody. If you feel comfortable, I mean, no pressure.
Yeah.
But feel free. Yeah, you can put that right in there.
I know
And
how
then
much.
I just have like a few more. I was just going to run through some FAQs with folks. So feel free if y'all want to hop back off the webcam, you can. If you want to keep staying on, because we might have some questions at the end, that would be amazing. No worries. Awesome. Oh, thanks y'all so much.
We're gonna go mute. We're gonna mute.
Sure. Perfect. Oh, that gets me so excited for summer. Amazing. Okay, so we've got just a few more things to run through. And, most importantly, by the end of an Adventure Treks trip, our students should have had a ton of fun, made unforgettable memories, and built lifelong friendships, nurtured an appreciation for nature, and felt incredibly accomplished and proud for all they've achieved. We want students to remember their AT experience for the rest of their lives. And how many students will be able to say that they've eaten dinner with their best friends on a secluded wilderness beach while the sun sets over the ocean, or climbed a snow-covered volcano as the sun rises and stood at the summit while singing songs and wearing silly costumes, or thinking about, like Maren was talking about, completed your first ever backpack, worked through hard weather, and exceeded your wildest expectations of what you thought you were capable of doing. And these are the memories we hope our students will make and the accomplishments we hope they'll achieve while on an Adventure Treks trip this summer. So I've got just a couple of frequently asked questions that I'll kind of briefly run through. This might answer a couple of questions, but continue to put questions in that question box. While students are welcome to bring a friend, we do limit friend groups as most of our new students tend to come by themselves, and students also fly to their trips independently. Adventure Treks will be at the airport waiting for them to arrive. I know we've been talking about technology a lot. Because we're tech-free, students will not have their phones. However, parents can follow along via uploaded photos and also trip logs throughout the trip. We can also accommodate food allergies and picky eaters, and tuition is all inclusive. So this means there's no need to rent or buy really expensive gear like a sleeping bag or a backpack. We'll cover that all for you. And then students will camp in tents every night, typically 3 students to a 4-person tent. Students are always surprised actually by how well they sleep. And our students will be able to practice good hygiene with access to soap, water, and hand sanitizer, even when we're in the woods. And again, no experience is necessary. Just come with a positive attitude and willingness to try new things, make great friends, and have more fun than you thought was possible. And enrolling is easy. You can head to our website, click the Enroll Now, and get ready to embark on the adventure of a lifetime. So I'll just check in with Amanda to see if we've had any questions come up at all.
Hello. Hi, Maren and Lauren. Lauren, this is a blast from the past. And Maren, the whole time you've been talking, I've been thinking about you glissading down Mount St. Helens in your ridiculous outfit and just yelling. I won't say what you were yelling the whole time, but it is something I will never forget. It was hilarious. We have had a bunch of questions come up, but honestly, I'm pretty sure that we've just hired our entire new marketing team in the household, because all of those questions were answered.
We'd be happy to, $100 off, we'll take it.
I think, yeah, y'all have answered all of our questions. I was able to get to some as well that were really specific to our families. So I think we're good to go on the questions end.
Super. Amazing, perfect. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you to the Garvey family. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
folks on the webinar, feel free to contact us with any further questions, and we hope you'll join us for your best summer yet.
Do it. It's amazing.
Lauren and I put our Instagrams in the chat. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
All our DMs are open. And then, you know, if you have further questions, we could share our numbers with anybody. And
I'm telling you, do it. Like I wouldn't lie to you. Like I promise. Do it. I'm not lying.
it's really an amazing experience. And if anybody does go, I hope you guys have the most fantastic time. I know that you'll have memories for a lifetime.
Yeah,
You will. Sure.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Be well.
Bye.